Okay, in this tutorial we've got the property line drawn in, the points for the property corners are drawn in, and now we have field data that we're going to import into the drawing so that we can draw the plat. So I'm going to go to the Home tab and open up your Create Points toolbar, and then click on the Import Point, and we're going to add the survey data file. Okay, I'm going to change my annotation, my scale, so that I can actually see these points. And actually, I'll make them small. And you can see down here, there are 2 points for this property corner, and they're kind of on top of each other. So you can move them around, and when you move them, there will be an arrow that is drawn to show the location of that point, which is fine. Okay, so 6 is the calculated corner point, and then 103 is the actual pin placement that they took a shot on in the field. So we're going to see how close these pins are to the actual calculate corner. So we're going to go to the Analyze tab. Over here in the Inquiry panel, we're going to do this Inquiry tool. And then it asks you to select an inquiry type. And we're going to go the point and then point inverse. And here you have to select the point number, the first point number here, and by selecting this button right here, it lets you actually choose the point number on screen. And you just left click to choose that. And then down here it wants to know point 2. What's the second point number? So now if you scroll down, you can see the inverse information. The horizontal distance is 0.0088, and then the direction is south 29 degrees 18 minutes 37.97 seconds west. So that's the difference between the 2 points. And I think that's an acceptable tolerance for the position of the point. So let's go look at another one. 7 and 104. Oh, open that inquiry tool back up. You have to go here and select 7, and then 104 is in the second one. And we got 0.077. That's fine. Let's go up here, this one up here. Let's select point number 3 and point number 100. 0.0005. And the next one, 0.4, 0.101, 0.0009, and then the last one. And the reason why I do this is to make sure that there's a check and balance on that point set in the field. Make sure that they set it within your allowable standards. And that was 100, which is still fine. So you want to make sure that it's set within the allowable standards, and positional tolerance is okay on those. And it's just a little check, quick way to check that. Before you start drawing the plat, you want to make sure there's not any other problems on the survey. Okay, so that's fine. And I right click to exit out of the command. So now we're ready to start drawing. And normally I would have a field book notes to go by, and they would sketch this out in the field. And some companies don't do that anymore. It's all about what the description of the point number says. And so I tried to make it somewhat clear by describing it, the point, giving the point description a good wording so that you could kind of tell what it was. So if you want to look up here, we have these points are BLDG, and that is the building corner. And so that might be an easy place to start. So let's go to the Home tab, change our layer, the building layer, and let's just draw a polyline around these points to draw in our building. They gave us a shot at each building corner, which is not always the case, but this is I've tried to make this an easy example. So they wouldn't normally do that. They'd take measurements with a measuring tape, and you have to actually draw it in that way. But this made it a lot easier to do it by point. And then you can see here we have a point for the CLR, which is Centerline Road, and then I gave it a description of gravel. And one thing I did leave off there is how wide that gravel road is. So you don't know how wide that is, but we're just going to call it around 15 feet. So that gravel road comes down here. You can see there's one point there. And then it comes all the way down here. Centerline Road plus CLR plus DLR is Centerline Road plus Centerline Road. We'll go ahead and draw. Let's get that on the road layer first. And draw a polyline from this point here up to this one. And then over to the building. Okay. So that road is our gravel road, and that's the center line. So if it's a 15-foot wide road, you can do an offset for 7.5 feet on either side, or on each side. And this is your offset tool right here. You click it. It says specify offset distance, so we want to do 7.5. And then it says select object to offset. Click on the road. Point, specify point on side, so we want to offset on this side, so we click. And then you can just repeat it. You want to offset this object to that side. Now we've got 7.5 feet on either side, which makes for a 15-foot road. You can just delete the center line. And then down here, you notice that it says CLR plus CLR. So there's another road. That's an intersection. So over here, we've got a centerline road paved. Centerline plus centerline. And then down here, we've got the other centerline road paved. So let's do a polyline from this one through this one. And then finally over here, that one. Okay, and we're just going to call this one 24 feet. So let's offset that one 12 feet on each side of the center line. Select object to offset this one on that side and this one on that side. And delete the middle one. And if you notice, because I used the polyline, I only have to offset that once, but if I had used this regular line command, 2D line command, then it would have stopped here, broke at that point, and continued on, so you'd have to offset it twice. So that's really why I like to use polylines, especially on roads, so that I don't have to figure out the bend in the line. And also notice that because it intersects this pavement, we're looking at the edge of the road, we want to trim those out. So we're going to go to our trim command and select the cutting edge. This is the cutting edge. right click to end, and then what do we want to erase? We want to erase that and that. So in there. I'm going to leave this one connecting because later when I hatch, I'm going to hatch the paved road here. I'm going to hatch the gravel road here, and they're different hatches. So I want to keep that line there so that I have a closed spot for the hatches. Okay, so we've got our roads drawn in, we've got our building drawn in. Now let's draw the fence. So go to FC layer, and down here there's FC for fence, and I've got some more up here on this side. And this one is TSCS, and that abbreviation stands for T-Fence South. So the fence is T'd, and the straight part of the T goes to the south side. So there's a fence crossing here to over here, and then it T's going south right there. So I'm going to draw polylines from this point. Actually, I'm going to draw through this point and continue over here. And then I'm going to pick it up again at this point and draw it on down south to where the fence goes through here at 105. And then I believe that's it. That's all the fence there is. So now you have your fence drawn in and your building and your road.